It's Time Warner Cable's local edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Our guest is Jerome Horton. He is the chair of California's Board of Equalization, and he and his office is about to get a lot busier.
Yes, Brad.
As a result of essentially the elimination of enterprise zones as we know it.
Essentially.
And what we're doing now is we're turning those zones into economic development regions.
Yes.
And so why don't you explain to us what the governor's economic development initiative does?
What the initiative does, basically, Brad, what they did was take $750 million from the enterprise zone, transferred it over to this initiative, and said to California businesses, there are a couple things that you can do in order to access this funding to create jobs in the state of California. One, you get a manufacturer's equipment exemption of the sales tax, which is about
4.19%. Okay.
Which is pretty healthy because, let's say, for example, if you invest $25 million into research and development and equipment and so forth, you're looking at getting about $1 million tax credit back.
That's not bad.
It's not bad.
That's not bad.
Not bad. So there are certain qualifications that have to exist in order for you to qualify, and the Board of Equalization is in the process of developing regulations and guidance in order so that businesses know exactly what they have to do to qualify.
Yeah, there's no doubt that when you look at the incentive program, it is focused more on R&D, on manufacturing, whereas with the enterprise zone program, we were looking at all forms of businesses, including small businesses.
Yeah, the shift, I refer to it, Brad, as kind of like the inverted Robin Hood.
Oh.
And I'll tell you why. Because the enterprise zones focused on blighted communities who are economically challenged.
Yes.
Now, the same $750 can be used by anyone, anywhere. So it's not geographically
It's not the
specific.
40 enterprise zones that we had before.
Exactly.
42, but 40 were operating.
Exactly. Now, the hiring tax credit, which is a little different, it does have a socioeconomic benefit in that it says that you have to hire or your business has to be located in economically challenged communities.
That's gone.
No, it's still there.
There is still hiring credit.
Still hiring credits. The sales tax exemption is gone. The enterprise zones themselves are gone, and that was part of the argument,
Right.
as you know.
So for the hiring credit, do you still need to be in those zones?
No. You don't have to be in a zone, but you do have to be in an economically challenged community.
I understand.
The complexity of that is that, let's say I open a business in an economically challenged community, and then someone opens one in a community that's even more economically challenged than mine, then they're entitled to the credit first.
So you have to apply for the credit. And that's what the BOE needs to write in terms of regulations?
That's the Franchise Tax Board.
Oh, the FTP will do that?
The hiring tax credit,
Right.
which I sit on the
Of course,
Franchise Tax Board as well. And then the BOE will handle the sales tax credit. I mean, it's a reprioritizing.
It is what it is. I mean, and it's the law. When the state eliminated redevelopment, there have been growing pains, and those growing pains continue to march forward. We know cities and Sacramento continue to be at war over that issue. How are we unwinding enterprise zones? Is it more of a transitionary period? Because with redevelopment, it was a hard deadline and out.
There is a transition period. July 1st, I believe, the sales tax will go into effect. And I think around the first of the year, the hiring tax credit will go into effect. But the enterprise zones, as we know them, they won't exist anymore beginning the first of the year.
But is there going to be the fights that we saw that, well, we already have this in place and we need to be able to continue it?
Well, some would argue that this is the have and have-nots in retransferring the fund.
Right.
In the redevelopment, we took cities that had redevelopment. They would use it for blighted communities.
Right.
And so it was an incentive for developers to come and develop in blighted communities.
We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
His name is Jerome Horton. He is chair of the Board of Equalization. I'm Brad Pomerance. You're watching Time Warner Cable's Local Edition.